Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited you joined me on this journey where we will draw figure. Today I'm using this reference image that we can see on the left on my iPad, and I already start drawing step by step figure. You can follow along, please. Be free to draw, stop the video whenever it's convenient, and you can send me a drawing after for feedback if you want. I would love to see your art. Let's jump in immediately. Let's see how I started. I created a grid. You can see on the left on the photo we have these green lines that are over the reference image. It's a called grid method. I really love this method. I use it for different styles, from drawing in realistic, anime, or any style. It just helps you see better because you that way you avoid having a little bit off proportions, or maybe like that didn't happen to you. You draw a huge head and like a little body, or like torso it's too small and the legs are, I don't know, maybe too long or something. Um, it's really helpful. So even if I'm not drawing same size, for example, my reference image might be, let's say, 7 inches long. I'm drawing double size. Doesn't really matter. I have same amount between the lines on both reference and my drawing, and that's super helpful. I love to start my sketch with very light lines. I usually, when I teach online or when I'm just demoing, I'm drawing darker so you can see my lines better. But I would suggest, draw even lighter if you can see it. Also, don't worry, you can always take kneaded eraser, erase. I will do that after, you will see. On top of it, and then put another lines after. You can see here I started from the head. Usually it happens like starting from the head, but not necessarily always. I think it's good to switch a little bit ways how we start drawing. It's not like, oh, every time I must start with the head. This time I did. I start with the head, and I was looking at the lines, number 1, 2, 3, and just trying to match them with how it is on the reference. It's not just copying and looking like, oh, how it's on the reference, let me apply it there. It's also applying your knowledge of anatomy. And anatomy is something that you learn really by drawing more too. It's not about really knowing every muscle, every bone. You can just uh, draw different figures, and then that knowledge gathers during the time. I know time it is drawing more and more and more. It helps me tremendously just to practice more. Whenever I make a gap, whenever I make a pause, it affects my drawings really. And then if sometimes I'm not happy where my art is, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me just draw then every day. It does really affect. So what I did just now after my rough sketch is something that I love doing quickly. So it's not something where I too much look lines and everything. It's more gestural. It's so light. And then my second layer of lines, you see now, I'm going back, I'm being more specific and I'm correcting my drawing if needed. And usually it needs to be corrected. So usually when we have artists start, like young artists or somebody starts drawing, they would be so tight with lines and so scared and draw one line so long until line it's perfect, but line is, for example, not on correct spot. And then on the end we're like, oh, I wasted my time. It can be stressful. How to draw these quick lines? I don't know to draw. I can't do them quick. It's not about really keeping them. It's about also practicing your how to say it, like freedom with your lines. Because eventually, if we always draw every line super slow and tight when we are practicing our free lines, I would say practice free lines, even if they're not correct, but do practice them. Um, go between slowing down and doing quick gesture lines. It's not either one or the other. I think it's combination. And yes, in theory, it makes sense. It's always different when we're doing and making our piece. Okay, so you can see I'm just going back with my pencil. This is mechanical pencil. It's a B pencil that I'm using, I believe. Yeah, I think it's a B. I buy these leads and put them in my mechanical pencil, 0.5. I like working with mechanical pencil because it has this thin line. And then this paper, it's also very smooth. This is, let me tell you how it's called, Borden and Riley. That is the paper. It's extra smooth and bleed proof. I just really love that paper. I personally don't like so much textured papers, like some watercolor, really rough textured papers for something like this. So it's just my preference, but everybody can check on their own, of course. Okay, so I'm just building up this torso, looking at the angles. I think for this pose, one of the tricky things, it's really including angles on the back, because back it's never completely just straight line. Adding shoulder and arm, there is a little bit of the folds there. Now I'm going back to the leg and really looking at the angles. It's never just straight line. Do you see how I'm drawing over the arm? Draw over. Make these lines longer. It's not like from point 1 to point 2 what we see. It's like literally, when you draw them longer, you can imagine them a little bit better. And now when I say you can imagine them better, it's another thing that really is so helpful. Imagine before you draw. And I feel like that is slowing down. You imagine, line will be there, and then I draw it. I think in the past, I would too rushly draw everything. And then, why? I feel like I needed to slow down. But for me, as a younger artist, it was hard to slow down because I'm so excited. I have this million ideas in my head. Who has time to slow down? But I think with age, for me personally, that just kind of level up. And I'm so grateful that I do have more patience now. I think patience is something that we also learn. I'm sure there is many people who have them earlier on. I don't think I had much when I was younger. I just wanted to see everything done immediately. And today I can also see that reflect sometimes on young artists when I teach classes. Like, why it's not super realistic now? Why it's not this? Why it's not that? And then just knowing, okay, like with the patience, it will come there. Okay, so let's see where I am. Drawing hand now. For hands, we can do special class if you want, just drawing hands. Here I just felt comfortable drawing this thumb and immediately 2 fingers. Actually, thumb gave me a little trouble because angle, it was just a little bit awkward. Sometimes there is some weird angle and just fingers look weird. But instead of drawing every finger individually, first draw a shape that creates them together. Like maybe there is like one rectangular shape, one triangular shape. Today for me it is easier to draw them separately, each finger, because I can imagine in my head that shape. But first, when I would draw fingers, they would look very funny because I would draw them very separately and they would kind of look like a little ruffle or something. And then I start using the different shapes where you create like a glove shape, a fingerless glove. And then you draw fingers inside. However, now I can skip a little bit, some steps, because I can see them in my eyes even without drawing them today. But that wasn't really a case a few years ago, or with the practice. For example, you see that grid lines, how I draw here. For comparison, I draw it because I would love everybody to see, but today I don't necessarily need those lines because I can see, but I wasn't born like, I can see them. I learned that by just drawing more of the figures. I wish there is like another thing we can say, this is how you improve your drawing, but it is practice. And it's not every practice the same. It's not. If I practice every day drawing slow motion, some outlines without considering shapes or something, it won't really teach me much. So it's important the way we are learning something and then practice too. I felt like I want to add here a little bit of the ground, so I added a little bit of shadow there. Again, I really love doing this. I don't think that it's something that you have to do, but I just love taking my eraser, going back, kind of restarting. Because once when you draw something, you think about where it is, you think about scale, you think about what is the shape, so many things. I say it's like multitasking. And then now, when I go back, I'm like, I can revisit it and I can make it lighter. And maybe this time when I'm outlining nose and mouth, I'm thinking more about how dark are my lines, for example, or something else that I maybe didn't include while I was drawing first time. Okay, so let's see, eyes, nose, mouth, sketching. I think when I'm drawing this one, that's a little bit trickier part, how far it is from the another eye. You can see that I put a little bit further away that eye. I kind of wanted on my drawing here today to make it a little bit more, if we can say, like anime style looking. Does it look like anime? I'm not really sure. More like stylized a little bit. So had my look on screen a little bit bigger because of the angle of camera. But generally I did make that head slightly bit bigger because I just felt like I want to exaggerate that a little bit. Now I'm going back to hair. Oh, really, when I remember few years ago how tight my lines were when I was drawing the hair. Now they're much better. It really makes me happy. I was struggling with hair because like I would slow down, make lines too dark and stiff. But with hair, it's really important that it has some lightness and freshness to it. And looking at the hair as also trying always to divide groups of hair rather than just having a bunch of lines. I also wanted to add more volume here for the hair. I'm going close to the reference, but also changing things because reference, it's not like must be like that. My goal is to get inspired and do something with it. What is something that I see there? Do I see more air in the hair? More fullness? What is something that I want to emphasize there? What is the part of this character on the photo that you really want to embrace? Maybe on your drawing, I don't know, maybe its shoulder is a little bit more lifted, covering even a little bit of the jaw or something. Maybe that other arm is even not there. I kind of, when I start drawing, almost didn't include that arm because I thought it looks cool with arm maybe being on the side, like Arthur lean somewhere on the floor. But then I was like, okay, let's draw it. Let's see how it looks. So on the end, I kept it. Now, when I make bigger shapes on the hair, I'm just going back and making some smaller shapes too. I just kind of have fun here, also putting more details on the portrait, adding tiny little pieces of hair around, like all this fun stuff. All these tiny little details that add more to the personality. I also wanted to add these little pieces around. Let's see. Yeah, drawing is there. I'm just kind of going back and nothing new really, just making something a little bit better. And this is also again going back to that patience. Instead of, I love that to sketch everything and then I go back. Because if I spend too much time, I draw a head. And that happens very often when I start drawing. Draw a head, let me make this head perfect. And then I draw a head 20 minutes. And then I draw a figure. And then I realize on the end, head doesn't fit the body. That is why that first round was very quick, and then second, and then this is probably like a third round of lines. Yeah. So going back, but looking everything together as one unity, not just like separate. Oh, this is head, this is arm, this is another arm. We need to look at everything cohesively, because otherwise it just becomes too patchy, too separated, too much like collage from different parts of the body. I'm also including a little bit of the folds. Folds are something that maybe you see first thing on the garment, but not necessarily it's the first thing I will draw. I will draw this shape of the head, of the arm, and then I will draw after folds on top of it, so I can build up structure for the arm, include a little bit anatomy of the arm, put a little bit more thought in angles and shapes, and then after I can layer with the clothing. It's not necessarily, oh, I'm drawing a completely naked person and then I'm drawing on top. It's like simplifying everything, not being distracted with tiny little details. Okay, so now this is a costume designer in me, just adding more and more details. I'm adding here these pockets. If you're drawing with me, change outfit. I don't know. She can have a cute little pleated skirt. Doesn't really need to be like that. For example, looking at this leg I'm drawing, I am just adding a little bit more. And also proportion-wise, I kind of made the legs a little bit more fuller. That is why slightly bit, maybe that leg also looks a little bit shorter. I could kind of make that leg a little bit longer, like a few millimeters. Few millimeters sometimes really are kind of seen and noticeable. It's very useful to try to see your drawing with, on different way. Okay, so for example, now I'm looking my drawing on the screen and I'm looking at like, I'm thinking like, oh, it could be like few more millimeters longer maybe. I couldn't really notice while I was drawing on the paper. Sometimes taking a break, stepping away from the drawing, looking it again. It's really good ways to look at your art piece again and see it with new set of eyes, so you're not so used to what you're seeing. I love also looking in the mirror, taking picture of my drawing, flipping the image. I didn't really do that here. I should next time. Take picture with my phone and then take it so I can show you guys how I'm doing that. And yeah, I think slowly I'm just finishing up the line drawing, and I'm thinking what I want to do with it. Like, do I want to shade it? Do I want to color it? And then I decided actually to take a tracing paper, outline my drawing with tracing paper, and then transfer it to a little bit thicker paper. This one is pretty thick. I'm drawing. It's, let me tell you, 108 lb. That's pretty thick paper, but Bristol is even thicker. And I want to take Bristol because I don't really know what I will do with it. Maybe I want to use some markers or some watercolors. This paper is fine for markers, but not the best. It's okay. Bristol, I just love how thick is that paper. So this is me. I just kind of speed it up because I was outlining. Advice for outlining is try to look your lines again. It's not just like blindly outlining everything you did before. You can reconsider a little bit more shapes. Lines will just get more free and free because you kind of know where to place the line now. This is another paper I put underneath so I can trace my drawing. There's different ways of actually put it the wrong way. I wanted to show you. I don't really use this often. I just thought it's fun to show. But I start tracing now here with a red color pencil so I can see where I'm tracing. And then I was like, oh, let me check. And actually I wasn't really tracing on the right spot because the black thing needs to be on the other side. You will see now. I will flip my paper. I just realized what I did. Another way of doing this, like you don't need to buy all these things. You can actually take some softer pencil, apply on the back. You see how it's on the paper? On the back of that tracing paper. And then you press and it will actually stay. Does that make sense? Let me know. I can make a video about that too. Okay, so now I'm just putting paper back. It's good that there is a tape, because tape will hold my tracing paper in place, and then now while I'm tracing, I don't need to worry about moving drawing, because I can't see what I'm tracing. Another method, what is really good, it's also a light box. I am using in another videos, you can see. I recently actually bought a light box. Didn't really have one for a while. What is also not bad thing, because, for example, if somebody starts drawing, like it's not really a first thing we need, light box or tracing paper. It's better to go harder way and just draw and practice. Although I am using to trace my own drawing, and it's a bigger difference tracing your own drawing than tracing something else. When I was a kid, I just wanted to draw these super realistic figures. I didn't have knowledge, or nobody taught me how to draw anatomy and figures. So I just kept tracing and tracing mangas and figures, and I just loved it. I loved how they looked real when I traced them, and then I would dress them up in different outfits. So I would make books and books on these characters with where I would trace them, and you can kind of see that they are traced, because I really didn't have understanding of the figure. It kind of gave me some knowledge, but not so much, really, to be honest. It was more actually, I got a lot of practice designing, like, because I would trace image of a woman in some dress, and I would always think, this is so boring looking, it's like some black dress or something. And then I would do my best to like design some very cool outfit, so make some interesting character. Okay, let's see. I decided to this round just outline big shapes, not actually little details, so that maybe I thought maybe I can just color like big shapes and then after do little details. I also recently bought this masking fluid that I like for highlights. So what I'm doing with masking fluid is applying a little bit where I want to keep white on the paper. It is a little bit weird way, because when you apply it, it looks blue. And sometimes it can be confusing, because while you draw and paint, that is blue. And then you kind of consider other colors that you add being blue, but on the end that will be white, because I will rub it after. Okay, next step. I mixed this gouache color. I had one kind of skin tone with white, and then I just kind of felt I want to do some gouache a little bit. I felt like using my brush rather than marker, and then I just colored it in. You can wait for layer to dry, go again, make it all smoother. Then I decided to do like a blue denim, simple. And I knew that I want to go with simple skin and simple shorts, so that actually I can have some fun with that shirt. As you remember from the reference image, shirt had that military army kind of pattern, what I thought would be exciting to explore in some abstract way. And yeah, just coloring. And now, see, if you're making your piece, it can really be something else. Doesn't need to be what I'm doing. It can be millions of other things. So I would say when you're making patterns, start lighter. I think that kind of rule, if we can say it's a rule, we can be applied on anything. When you start lighter with your drawing, when you sketch, when you start lighter with coloring, you can just build up darker and darker. So here I'm starting with yellow shirt. I'm having this bright pink here. Everything looks very flat. It's like there is no shading. There is no textures. It's very simple. But
What is important to know, it won't look like that, like I'm going somewhere with my piece. And also you need to know that your piece won't look like how it looks now. Like in this stage, I thought like, oh wow, this looks so cartoonish. It wasn't my intention, but I knew it looks now, it won't look. It's my step in the process, step in the growth. It's not that instant. Maybe today we are so used to instant. Oh, immediately looks like this or that. Okay, look at here. Because I thought it looks so cartoonish, I need to add a little bit of yellow on the hair. And then just a reminder to everybody, drawings, they do go through an ugly phase. Ugly phase where I don't really like using the word ugly, like I don't think it's the accurate, but it's the good way to explain it. It's not that beautiful. It's not that perfect, that representable. It's just doesn't look well. Sometimes it looks like a hot mess. Sometimes it looks just boring, flat. I mean, so many things. And what is the most important is just to keep going. On the end, maybe the drawing is ruined. Maybe the drawing is disaster. Maybe the drawing is the most beautiful thing you made, but does it really matter on the end? Because without that practice, we are not going anywhere for sure. We know that. So even if it's like the worst or whatever, like it doesn't need to be that dramatic, but on the end, you do learn a lot from mistakes, from these bad drawings we made, from these drawings that don't look the best. We really learn from them. And it's a journey, it's a path. I know personally there is so many things I want to learn. I want to improve. But if I just go 2 years ago, look my drawings, I'm like, wow, I learned a lot. I've really learned a lot with my practice. So it's easy to focus on negatives. I think it's the easiest part. Oh, it's not good. It's not so it's not how I want it. It's not. Okay, good, what it is. Is there something that it is? Is it something that maybe you improved? Is it something that that has some potential? Oh, look at how blurry. Okay, now we see it. I kind of use this orange marker to create some shadow a little bit. I wanted to keep it simple, this portrait. Yeah, you see, I removed the masking fluid. That is how it looks. Okay, let's have some fun with garments. Masking fluid again to protect yellow. So I'm just applying a little bit. Then, while I'm waiting to dry, because of I'm impatient there, I'm drawing these shapes between. And because my dog wants to go outside so badly, same here actually now. He's waiting me patiently to go outside. And then I'm going with that pink color, a little bit outlining. Just connecting them. I don't know, have some fun with it. When you create patterns, I would say work in layers again. You see, same thing applying also here. Drawing figure in layers, like everything roughly sketch, and then another layer. Same here. Yellow, masking fluid everywhere. Orange shape, pink shape. It's not like I'm finishing one little patch with all. I'm just working on the same time on every part. And after that, when I apply this, I may add another color or so. I just love this method. Like you can do so many different fun shapes. Those are just some fun curved lines that I love using for this military inspired jacket. And I wanted to add some pink a little bit because I thought that green was just too different from her hair and from her face. So a little pop-up of pink on the garment I thought would be nice. Oh wow, look at how different it looks with this dark. Do you like it? What do you think? I kind of now miss that brightness of that pink. Oh, now it's actually better because look at that yellow, how it's popping up. I just love how it's transforming. Does your art makes you playful, excited? this makes me excited. This makes me really very happy to look at it and just see it change and transform. Face, I decided this marker would be fun to go and apply a little bit. It's some acrylic painter marker. And I didn't want to outline necessarily with black, so I wanted to see with this pink. I wish I had something thinner a little bit, but I think it's okay. I think it looks good from far away. Okay, then that same pink, I decided to go and outline a little bit hand. Just needed a little bit more volume there, like more drawing. Because sometimes you draw, and then maybe you shade, maybe you color, drawing disappears. So now it's not late. I can go back, outline a little bit that hand, and just put more structure to my drawing. I really love with masking fluid how this little fringe look like on the jeans. You see this white, like how it frays. Really love that part. So I'm really satisfied with masking fluid, how it worked out there. On hair, I think it's fine. It could be better if I use some thinner brush for the hair. I did go back a little bit on some of the highlighted parts and add a little bit pink on the bottom. I kind of connected a little bit better. Then I realized that for the hair, I lost all these tiny little pieces that I was drawing. So I decided to go back with marker and add a little bit around there. She looks cute. What do you think? Should I add some background? My dog really had to go outside, so I kind of need to wrap it out. Few more minutes and that's it, because sometimes life just calls you. And I think another thing is like you start drawing and then you're like, okay, there is no time limit. I'm just making this piece. I actually realized that it helps me when I set up time. It sounds weird that building up some rules and almost like literally rules, like restrictions for yourself would make your art better. I wouldn't really think about it before. It's like, oh, freedom, however you feel like. But throughout the years, I learned it's not like really however I feel like. It's also building up some structure. It's helpful a lot. And now while I am outlining this, I'm also thinking, what are the other things I would love to add? And then I decided a little bit of pink would be nice on that blouse. And this is the moment when I really actually start liking that jacket. You may notice that the jacket actually doesn't even have outlines. On the arm, on the front and back, it's just all flat. And I really like that. Like why it needs to have, maybe it's fine without. I decided to use pink also on the jeans. So I just outline there. It's acrylic, so it kind of sits on top of the dark color. What is good about these markers? And then maybe like tiny little details somewhere. It's nice to have some big flat, I feel like, parts with the color, but then some parts has a little bit more detail. I'm excited to see your drawing. How was going so far? Please use the reference image. You can also print your reference. You can draw on top of it. You don't need to have iPad. Phones are also good. You can have phone as like on device to look. I don't use much phone. Sometimes it's too small. I'm used to iPad, spoiled a little bit because I do have it. But before I had it, I would use screen of computer or something. With iPad is different, or phone, because you can look at it next to your drawing. Okay, this is one of my favorite parts, how I outline with mechanical pencil, a little bit is French. I think it really added something cute to my drawing. Then I decided, okay, let's put a little texture on the socks, like a little bit of the lines. Then I was thinking, should I put something else on sneakers, or maybe I can just keep them how they are now with a little bit of more lines and come back after. Sometimes when you're not sure, sleep over it, go back and look at it again. Hope you had fun watching the video, everybody. Thank you so much for supporting, and I'm looking forward hearing from you all. Bye! This is my final drawing. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.